It's coffee. It's comics. It's music. It's Nerds on Coffee.
I wanted to dive in kind of right away and talk about some of the stuff that's been going on in the news. I think the media has largely blown what I want to talk about out of proportion. Mario Lopez was recently on the Candace Owens show. She's a known conservative talk show host. They were discussing lots of things. It was a normal show. But he made some comments. They got on the topic of parenting, and they got on the topic of gender assignment and gender identity, and people talking about letting their kids make that decision. It's pretty popular in Hollywood right now to allow your kids to have lots of freedom, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's like with their gender identity or what they eat, what they want to do throughout their day. It's getting more and more unpopular to parent your kids and to be authoritative and make decisions for them, because for whatever reason our society has just been kind of pushed into this point to where you really should just, and not everyone's like this, but a lot of people have come to start to act this way, especially a lot of people in my generation. Like you're really there to just be friends for your kid and just kind of guide them and help them. But anything that they want to do is fine. Anything that they want to say, eat, drink, any way that they want to act, like that's okay. And for some way, for whatever reason, it's gotten to the point to where if you actually parent your child authoritatively or make decisions for them or push them in or out of something as a means of protecting them or keeping them safe or educating them, that's somehow oppressive or bigotry or ignorant or insensitive, and it just does not make sense to me. I don't really get it. It's not insensitive to parent your child. It's not ignorant to have a belief system as a parent and want to raise your child up into that belief system. That's just normal. That's what parents do. My parents had a certain set of beliefs and they raised me a certain way. And as I grew into being an adult, I formed my own beliefs. Some of the beliefs that my parents instilled into me are still here. I have some new ones on my own. I'm constantly growing and changing. There are certain things that I don't want to change about myself. These are all things that you put together that you push, hopefully in a positive way, into parenting your child and into helping them grow and understand what it's like to be part of the world and to be part of society. Some people think that's wrong. Not everybody, but a lot of people in Los Angeles, where I live, seem to have this mentality and seem to think that you should really just let your children experience life freely and make decisions on their own. I don't think that that's very smart, but that's okay. I'm raising my child to be very loving and respectful, and everyone that's ever been around him has been very supportive of how we're choosing to raise him, whether they would be the exact type of parent that we are or not. It's okay. But ultimately, what I really wanted to talk about was just the overarching issue that we have here of people just, in my opinion, they can't wait to be offended. People are ready to be offended. And I think it's a problem, because what Mario Lopez did was he said something, in my opinion, that was very reasonable and it was very true. And even if it wasn't true, he said it in such a respectful way, and it's very obviously his opinion. And people freaked out, labeled him insensitive, labeled him an ignorant, labeled him someone who's not supportive of the LGBTQ community, labeled him as someone who is spewing hate speech. Just didn't make sense to me. Because of what he said. So here's what he said. Went on the Candace Owens show. They were talking, it was like about a 40-minute episode. They got on the conversation of children and parenting. And it kind of got into, they talked a little bit about Charlize Theron's child, or actually don't remember if they talked about it or not, but it's been referenced in a lot of people talking about this. Like Charlize Theron recently said that her boy identified it as a girl whenever he was 3, and now her son is her daughter. And they were talking about a lot of things like this. And so in regards to, allowing children the opportunity or the space to make decisions about their own gender identity, this is what they were discussing, and this is what he said about it. So this is Mario Lopez. This is a quote from the show. Mario Lopez said, "I'm trying to understand this new Hollywood mentality where they just think their children now have the mental authority. I'm trying to understand it myself. And please don't lump me into that whole group, Lopez responded. I'm kind of blown away too. Look, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids, obviously. And I think if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. But at the same time, my God, if you're 3 years old and you're saying that you're feeling a certain way, or you think you're a boy or a girl or whatever the case may be, I just think it's dangerous as a parent to make this determination then. Well, okay, you're going to be a boy, you're going to be a girl, or whatever the case may be. It's sort of alarming. And my gosh, I just think about the repercussions later on. And then he added, when you're a kid, you don't know anything about sexuality yet. You're just a kid. And then they kind of had a little bit of a back and forth. Owens, obviously, I think was in agreement with his point. Lopez then continued to say, I think parents need to allow their kids to be kids, but at the same time, you got to be the adult in the situation. Pause with that. And I think the formative years is when you start to have those discussions and really start making these declarations. So all of what Mario Lopez said, if you're just listening, was pretty reasonable, even if you disagree. Well, it's obvious that if you disagree and you're going after him, then you didn't understand what he was saying, because what he said was, because you're so ready to be offended, you're just so ready to be angry at someone and to be like labeled as, marginalized or looked down upon, or someone who's being insensitive towards your belief system. Like, people are super, super ready to feel that way, and they're ready to respond that way. And so they're just loaded up and ready to go. And so even if you disagree with Mario Lopez and what he said, he offered a disclaimer and he offered a caveat to his statement that said, if you said, I'm never one to tell anyone how to parent their kids. And obviously, I think if you come from a place of love, you really can't go wrong. And then he went on to tell you his opinion. But what he said is that I respect your decision to parent your child how you want to parent it. And if you love your child and you were trying to do the best thing for your child, then you can't go wrong. He said that. He literally said that. And then after he said that, he went on to very reasonably put on display his opinion. That's it. He just put his opinion out there, but he offered this great disclaimer of saying, hey, I accept you. If you love your child and you're trying to do what's right, that's great. But then people freaked out. They lost it. Lots of stuff on Twitter going on about this, or at least it was a few days ago, and definitely a lot last week. You guys can go research that on your own. I'm not going to use a lot of time to really talk about a lot of the backlash that he got, because it's fairly obvious that he presented an unpopular opinion according to our society and according to our media. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that it's less about, to me, lots of people have talked about this from a transgender issue, from a gender identity issue, from the LGBTQ point of view. There's lots of those opinions floating around out there right now, and they're really, really, really easy to find. Go look them up. I'm going to honestly talk less about Mario Lopez's direct comments regarding, giving your kids the freedom to make decisions about their sexual identity for the rest of their life, which I agree with him on. I am going to come out and say that I agree with Mario Lopez. I think it's a very reasonable point to make, but I want to talk more about the overarching issue, which is people are afraid to parent their children. And I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me. So I obviously think that what he said was reasonable, but I also want to talk about the fact that you're not here to be your kid's friend. If you have a child and you're responsible for that child, it's reasonable to assume that on any given day, you're going to do what you can to protect that child and to keep that child safe. That includes protecting them from things that could turn into thought patterns and thought processes that are going to change the course of their life before they understand what those things mean. So my son likes Captain America. Every week he plays with Captain America toys. He has Captain America pajamas. If he straight up said, I am Captain America, that would be really cute. I would probably pull my phone out and take a video for my wife. It would be adorable. We would laugh about it. But I can't let him believe that he's Captain America, because he can't go on believing that he's Captain America as he grows into adulthood. Now, what you're saying is like, Kyle, that's a dumb analogy, because obviously that wouldn't happen. Yeah, I know, because I'm going to make sure that he understands that there's a difference between things that he enjoys that he can play with and that he can choose what he enjoys. But then I'm also going to parent him and help shape his mind and shape his perspective to the world so that he can grow up and be a functioning member of society. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that people who make decisions about their gender identity when they're younger or enter into the LGBTQ community in any way are not functioning members of society. That's not what I'm saying. I wholeheartedly respect and support anyone's decision to make whatever kind of choice that they want to make for their life. The end. I'm not going to tell you that you're right or wrong. Just like I would really like if people didn't tell me if I was right or wrong making decisions about my own personal life and my family. But what I am going to say is that in Mario Lopez's case, he's saying it's dangerous to let a kid make a decision that could affect the rest of their life. And it's even more dangerous to trust that child's judgment and then go put them into hormone therapy and lead them into a process of gender reassignment surgery, which people are doing. Like, people are listening to their children's preferences and opinions, and they're going, oh, okay, well, my 3-year-old said that they feel like they are not the gender that they were born as. My boy now believes he's a girl, so we're going to run with that. We're going to let him think that, and we're going to go into hormone therapy because we want him to feel like who he is. He doesn't know who he is. That's an unpopular opinion, apparently. And the problem with that is that they don't. What does it mean to be a boy? What does that mean? So the same group of people that are talking about gender stereotypes that are saying like, well, stereotypes don't exist and it's wrong to just assign a stereotype to someone's gender and label them as such. But then you're reversing your own argument whenever you say, hey, you feel like a boy, or you're a boy, but now you feel like a girl because you identify with all of these stereotypical things that surround being a girl. Now you're going to trust that and let that and let that thing play out and run its course based on your child's opinion. It's hypocritical. I think that it's wrong to say stereotypes don't exist, and it's wrong to assign someone and reduce them to the stereotype that surrounds their gender. But also, my child now stereotypically identifies with the other gender because of these tangible things that exist that they can interact with. They like them more. And so now I'm going to let them choose to be that for the rest of their life. I think that's really irresponsible. And even if that child grows up and says, I felt this way my whole life, I was right about it then, and I'm right about it now, that's fine. But you need to foster an environment for them to understand what it's like to have the authority to make that decision. I don't think that you should give a child authority to make any decisions for themselves, because children, even if they're smart for their age, and even if they're well adjusted and developed for their age, still don't really know anything about what it's like to be a person or to live in this world. So regardless of the issue at hand, whether it's about their gender identity or whether they want to be a superhero for the rest of their life or whether they want to eat certain foods or dress certain ways, they don't really know what it's like. It's our job to educate them. It's our job to teach them. So I think that it's irresponsible to give your child authority. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't have choices. Obviously, we lay out choices for our son. We give him options and that we feel are acceptable, and then he can choose from those options. And so it's like, hey, what do you want to wear today? He knows the clothes that he has. He knows the clothes that we usually, my son's 2.5, by the way, but he knows the clothes that we have. And we go, what do you want to wear today? And he'll usually say something like, I want to wear green. And that means he wants to wear a green shirt or green shorts. And that's fine. We bought all those clothes for him. We're obviously okay with him wearing any combination of them because we like him in his clothes. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to say, hey, make all your decisions for yourself. Oh, sorry. Paused. Okay. Oh, my battery's low on my iPad. And so it paused for a second. I'll edit that out for everyone listening, but for everyone tuning in. So yeah, we're not just going to let him have authority and just like run with however he feels for the whole day. Like, that's not smart parenting. And I think if you asked any reasonable adult anywhere in America, hey, how much authority do you give your child over their own life? Most of them would say almost none, because that's ridiculous. So we pick what our kids eat because we know what's good for them and we know what's going to be healthy for them, even if they disagree in their own mind. We pick how our kids dress because we want them to function as a part of society. We pick how our kids act through how we discipline them and how we encourage them and how we teach them. We choose a lot of these things for our children because we as adults have gone through life that they're about to go through. We know what it's like to have to struggle with the things that they're about to struggle with, and we know what it's like to have to make the decisions that they're going to be faced with, which is why we're here to help them and guide them. I love my son more than anything on this planet, but I'm not here to be his friend. I'm here to be his dad, and he needs me as his dad. He needs me to discipline him and to show him what it's like to actually approach life with critical thinking and logic and humility so that he can actually make good decisions about himself. And whenever he does feel a certain way, he can make a choice based on the fact that he actually understands what that choice means. That's what Mario Lopez was talking about. He didn't get a chance to push that opinion out there because people immediately lashed out at him and were lynching him online and calling for his job. He instantly issued an apology, which I don't think that you should do if you don't say anything offensive. He didn't say anything offensive, and the fact that people were offended is a completely separate issue. And I'm not saying that you're responsible for your own feelings. That's what I'm not saying. I think that everyone should be sensitive to where everyone is in life. But I don't think that he said something offensive. I think he said something controversial, but there's a difference. What he said is an unpopular opinion, and what he said is how he personally felt about that issue, and what he said was something that is controversial and is a hot button topic in today's society. But what he said was not offensive, and what he said was not marginalizing, and what he said was not ignorant. You see the difference? People are so ready to be offended in today's society, and they're so ready to just immediately feel attacked and to feel marginalized and minimalized and to just feel oppressed, that they're going to look past how someone's communicating, and they're going to look past the fact that it's an opinion, and they're just going to jump straight to their rehearsed defense of whatever the topic is. So again, this is not about how I feel about gender identity, and it's not about how I feel about the LGBTQ community or the struggles that they face or what it's like to have to go through life feeling one way and struggling with a decision to make yourself feel a different way. I'm not talking about any of that. I support and respect everyone that is going through that. I don't know what it's like, and I want everyone to feel like they have a space to be who they feel that they really are. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's our job to parent our child, no matter what the issue is, and give them a fair chance to make an informed and educated decision about something that's going to affect the rest of their life or the rest of their year or even the rest of their day. It's our job to teach our kids. So I think it's unfair how people are responding to Mario Lopez because what he said was not unreasonable. And even if you disagree, he said it in a respectful way. So I think we're here to parent our kids. I don't think that we're here to cater to their feelings as their friends. I don't think that we're here to project our own agendas or project our own insecurities of wanting to be relevant to other parents or relevant in today's society onto them. I think that we are here to parent them unapologetically. I think we're here to guide them and to lead them and to love them. I think that it's wrong to say, I'm a parent, I have a child, here's what society says. I don't want people to think that I'm an ignorant bigot about any of these issues. So now I'm going to make my child be able to make whatever decision that they want for their future. I think that's irresponsible as hell. And I definitely don't do it with my son. And even if you disagree with me and you have kids, you don't do this with your kids either. I promise you. And I want you to tell me that you do, because I don't believe you. You do not let your children make decisions on their own. And you definitely don't let your children make decisions that are going to affect the rest of your life. And if you say you do, you're either an idiot or a liar. So that's what I think about it. And having said that, again, I'm going to circle back to what I said earlier. I am very supportive of anyone making the decision that they feel is necessary to be who they feel like they need to be. I don't want anyone to feel marginalized or reduced by the fact that I'm talking about an issue that we're not allowed to talk about. I really just wanted to offer a defense to Mario Lopez for saying something that, even if, again, you disagreed with it, was not unreasonable to say. It's not unreasonable to say that we shouldn't let our kids make decisions that are going to affect the rest of their lives when they don't understand anything about that decision. They don't. So I'm sorry if that labels me ignorant, if that labels me unsupportive of anyone in any community, even though I've already said I support everyone in this community and I believe that they should be able to live the way that they feel that they should live. And I think that everyone should be happy. I don't think that anyone should have to go through life in any way that they don't feel like themselves. That sucks. And I can imagine that that would be awful. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it's irresponsible to let your children have authority. I don't think that that's going to work out well for you. I don't think it's going to work out well for them. And if you want to have a conversation about this, I'm happy to have a conversation about it. I'm happy to continue to talk about how I feel. I'm happy to listen to how you feel too. And if you present something that's more reasonable to me, that has been proven to be beneficial over the course of a child's life, I will adjust my thinking. But until that happens, I'm going to continue to look at the needs of my child and my family every day and make decisions, about how I feel I can best serve them. So that's all the time I'm going to take today. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to hear anything or talk about anything or ask questions about anything, drop us a line in any way that you want to across any social media or podcast platform. Reach out in any way that you want and let us know if there's anything that you want to discuss. We would love feedback and we would love to talk about things that you guys want to hear. And it's not always going to be controversial. It's not always going to be political. It's not always going to be about things that maybe not everyone can relate to. This was just something that jumped out at me this week and got a lot of attention. So I thought I would share my opinions on it. But feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to agree with me. I am not fragile, and I certainly hope that I did not offend anyone with the things that I said. I didn't mean to. I meant to just give perspective and to just talk about my own views regarding my own family. But having said that, they're my opinions, and sometimes I can share them aggressively, so thanks for listening. And that's it for today, for this week's Nerds on Coffee mini episode number 1. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next week.